Sponsored by Catchpoint, the leader in digital experience management.
Hi, I'm Chris Lopez, Technical Marketing Engineer for Catchpoint, and today we're going to continue to go over Catchpoint's third-party integrations. Last time, we went over how you could integrate Catchpoint with your existing collaboration tools, which, in context, allowed us to feed Catchpoint alert data into a Slack channel. Today, I'm going to show you a slightly different integration between these two platforms, namely, how you can configure Catchpoint On-Demand Tests to run from your Slack commands. We'll be using Catchpoint SaaS platform, my Slack workspace, and depending on your preferences, either Aws Lambda or Node.js functions. And over the course of this video, I'm going to show you how to set up this integration from scratch, how to run these commands from inside your Slack channel, and what data you should expect to find. Let's hop in. As I just mentioned, in my last video, we managed to integrate Catchpoint alert data into a Slack channel, like so. I'll be receiving alerts from my Catchpoint instance and have critical data fed to my support team. I think we'd all agree, however, that it would be very useful if you could also execute instant tests inside of your Slack channel as well, especially if your support team is already heavily invested in their collaboration tool. As you know, Catchpoint offers synthetic monitoring, meaning that we can simulate web traffic and transactions from the perspective of the user in order to pinpoint what's going wrong with their digital experience. Being able to run tests like this and pull results from inside a collaboration tool can go a long way towards enabling your support teams to respond effectively to anomalies and disruptions. We're going to build out this integration using Aws Lambda, but you're also capable of using Node.js to the same effect. So here we are inside my new instance of Slack, and the first thing we're going to do is set up a new application. You can see I've already defined a new one called On-Demand Testing, and I'm going to assign it to my Slack workspace I called Catchpoint. Once I've done that, we'll see a new page with a bunch of options here. Now I'm going to select the /commands function. And here we need to create a new command. This command is going to be the one that runs this specific Catchpoint test that we're going to define later in Aws Lambda. And we can see a few fields have already appeared here: command, request URL, short description, and usage hint. Let's go over the important bits. Command is just the name of the /command that you can use to execute a Catchpoint instant test. In this case, I've defined it as just /catchpoint test. Request URL is the server where my code resides, which in this case is the Aws Lambda function or my self-hosted code with Node.js. Usage hint lets you pass additional variables within the /command. Now, for the most part, I'll be sticking to default settings as we go through this, but we have an extensive list of documented parameters you can use for this optional field. Now, I won't be able to actually install this app into my workspace until I have the request URL. So let's hop over to Aws Lambda to see how to set that up. Now, I'm going to quickly go through the Aws Lambda setup. That might sound intimidating, I know, but the process is actually quite simple, and for this, I'm going to be using a free tier account for AWS. First, we want to create a new Lambda function. And during setup, just select Author from scratch, as we're going to be inserting some code here later. Next, we'll set up the AWS API gateway under Triggers. This is going to enable these two systems to talk to one another. And APIs, as you know, allow different applications to share their functionality with each other. And finally, Catchpoint has defined a template that you'll be able to copy-paste directly into either your Node.js or Aws Lambda functions. Once all that's done, Aws Lambda is going to provide us with a URL that we'll be able to go ahead and copy-paste back inside of the command. This will allow the entire function to execute properly. Now that the setup is done, I'm going to start running instant tests inside of Catchpoint. Like the alert integrations, we'll be able to see some basic data appear inside of the Slack channel once I execute these tests with the /command that I defined earlier. We can see some basic data pop up below, like monitor, URL code, and response code. These are all pretty straightforward. Monitor is just the type of monitor that's being used for this instant test. URL is where we've pointed this test at, in this case, google.com. The node is which Catchpoint node we're executing this test from, which looks like it's coming from New York. And finally, the response code is what we get back from the site that we're testing. Looks like Google is showing a response code of 200, which means it's up and running. Now, this instant test was a lot more robust than just the data that's appeared in these few fields, but it's hard to communicate this inside of a Slack channel. Now, for this test that we ran at 12:33, I'd actually be able to look into the results inside of the Catchpoint SaaS platform. This type of integration is immediately useful, giving your support and technical teams the power of instant synthetic monitoring from a slash command simplifies the process of evaluating your user's digital experience. Now, we only set up this one basic test, but even this example can illustrate how Catchpoint lets you codify your tests into discrete, shareable, and repeatable functions. Now, we used Aws Lambda for this one, but if you wanted to host the code yourself, we also offer the same integration with Node.js functions. This has only been a small peek of what's available with third-party integrations in the context of Catchpoint's API. I'd love to go over all of them, but that's all the time we have for today, so thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.
Sponsored by Catchpoint, the leader in digital experience management.